Common forces in mechanics. In mechanics, we encounter several kinds of forces. The gravitational force is, of course, pervasive. Every object on the earth experiences a force of gravity due to the earth. Gravity also governs the motion of celestial bodies. The gravitational force can act at a distance without the need of any intervening medium. All the other forces common in mechanics are contact forces. As the name suggests, a contact force on a body arises due to contact with some other object, solid or fluid. When bodies are in contact, example, a book resting on a table, a system of rigid bodies connected by rods, hinges, and other types of supports. There are mutual contact forces for each pair of bodies, satisfying the third law. The component of contact force normal to the surface in contact is called normal reaction. The component parallel to the surface in contact is called friction. Contact forces arise also when solids are in contact with fluids. For example, for a solid immersed in a fluid, there is an upward buoyant force equal to the weight of the fluid displaced. The viscous force, air resistance, etc. are also examples of contact forces. Figure 5.9. Two other common forces are tension in a string and the force due to spring. When a spring is compressed or extended by an external force, a restoring force is generated. This force is usually proportional to the compression or elongation for small displacements. The spring force F is written as F equals minus kx, where x is the displacement and k is a force constant. The negative sign denotes that the force is opposite to the displacement from the unstretched state. For an inextensible string, the force constant is very high. The restoring force in a string is called tension. It is customary to use a constant tension T throughout the string. This assumption is true for a string of negligible mass. In chapter 1, we learned that there are four fundamental forces in nature. Of these, the weak and strong forces appear in domains that do not concern us here. Only the gravitational and electrical forces are relevant in the context of mechanics. The different contact forces of mechanics mentioned above fundamentally arise from electrical forces. Figure 5.9. Some examples of contact forces in mechanics. This may seem surprising since we are talking of uncharged and non-magnetic bodies in mechanics. At the microscopic level, all bodies are made of charged constituents, that is nuclei and electrons, and the various contact forces arising due to the elasticity of bodies, molecular collisions and impacts, etc. can ultimately be traced to the electrical forces between the charged constituents of different bodies. The detailed microscopic origin of these forces is, however, complex and not useful for handling problems in mechanics at the macroscopic scale. This is why they are treated as different types of forces with their characteristic properties determined empirically. Friction. Let us return to the example of a body of mass m at rest on horizontal table. The force of gravity, that is mg, is cancelled by the normal reaction force n of the table. Now suppose a force F is applied horizontally to the body. We know from experience that a small applied force may not be enough to move the body. But if the applied force F were the only external force on the body, it must move with acceleration F by m, however small. Clearly, the body remains at rest because some other forces comes into play in the horizontal direction and opposes the applied force F, resulting in zero net force on the body. This force Fs parallel to the surface of the body in contact with the table is known as frictional force or simply friction. Figure 5.10a. The subscript stands for static friction to distinguish it from kinetic friction Fk that we consider later. Figure 5.10b. Figure 5.10. Static and sliding friction. A. Impending motion of the body is opposed by static friction when external force exceeds the maximum limit of static friction, the body begins to move. B. Once the body is in motion, it is subjected to sliding or kinetic friction, which opposes relative motion between the two surfaces in contact. Kinetic friction is usually less than the maximum value of static friction. Note that static friction does not exist by itself. When there is no applied force, there is no static friction. It comes into play the moment there is an applied force. As the applied force F increases, Fs also increases, remaining equal and opposite to the applied force up to a certain limit, keeping the body at rest. Hence, it is called static friction. Static friction opposes impending motion. The term impending motion means motion that would take place but does not actually take place under the applied force if friction were absent. We know from experience that as the applied force exceeds a certain limit, the body begins to move. It is found experimentally that the limiting value of static friction, Fs max, is independent of the area of contact and varies with the normal force n approximately as Fx maximum equals mu s into n, where mu s is a constant of proportionality depending only on the nature of the surfaces in contact. The constant mu s is called the coefficient of static friction. The law of static friction may thus be written as Fs is less than or equal to mu s into n. If the applied force F exceeds Fs maximum, the body begins to slide on the surface. It is found experimentally that when relative motion has started, the frictional force decreases from the static maximum value, that is Fs maximum. Frictional force that opposes relative motion between surfaces in contact is called kinetic or sliding friction and is denoted by Fk. Kinetic friction, like static friction, is found to be independent of the area of contact. Further, it is nearly independent of the velocity. It satisfies a law similar to that of static friction. Fk equals mu k into n, where mu k, the coefficient of kinetic friction, depends only on the surface in contact. As mentioned above, experiments show that mu k is less than mu s. When relative motion has begun, the acceleration of the body according to the second law is F minus Fk by m. For a body moving with constant velocity, F equals Fk. If the applied force on the body is removed, its acceleration is minus Fk by m and it eventually comes to a stop. The laws of friction given above do not have the status of fundamental laws like those for gravitational, electric and magnetic forces. They are empirical relations that are only approximately true, yet they are very useful in practical calculations in mechanics. Thus, when two bodies are in contact, each experiences a contact force by the other. Friction, by definition, is the component of the contact force parallel to the surface in contact, which opposes impending or actual relative motion between the two surfaces. Note that it is not uniform, but relative motion that the frictional force opposes. Consider a box lying in the compartment of a train that is accelerating. If the box is stationary relative to the train, it is in fact accelerating along with the train. What forces cause the acceleration of the box? Clearly, the only conceivable force in the horizontal direction is the force of friction. If there were no friction, the floor of the train would slip and the box would remain at its initial position due to inertia and hit the back side of the train. This impending relative motion is opposed by static friction Fs. Static friction provides the same acceleration to the box as that of the train, keeping it stationary relative to the train. Rolling friction. A body like a ring or a sphere rolling without slipping over a horizontal plane will suffer no friction in principle. At every instant, there is just one point of contact between the body and the plane, and this point has no motion relative to the plane. In this ideal situation, kinetic or static friction is zero and the body should continue to roll with constant velocity. We know in practice this will not happen and some resistance to motion, rolling friction, does occur. That is, to keep the body rolling, some applied force is needed. For the same weight, rolling friction is much smaller, even by 2 or 3 orders of magnitude, than static or sliding friction. This is the reason why discovery of the wheel has been a major milestone in human history. Rolling friction again has a complex origin through somewhat different form that of static and sliding friction. During rolling, the surfaces in contact get momentarily deformed a little, and this results in a finite area, not a point, of the body begun in contact with the surface. The net effect is that the component of the contact force parallel to the surface opposes motion. We often regard friction as something undesirable. In many situations, like in a machine with different moving parts, friction does have a negative role. It opposes relative motion and thereby dissipates power in the form of heat, etc. Lubricants are a way of reducing kinetic friction in a machine. Another way is to use ball bearings between two moving parts of a machine, figure 5.13a. Since the rolling friction between ball bearings and the surfaces in contact is very small, power dissipation is reduced. A thin cushion of air maintained between solid surfaces in relative motion is another effective way of reducing friction, figure 5.13a. In many practical situations, however, friction is critically needed. Kinetic friction that dissipates power is nevertheless important for quickly stopping relative motion. It is made use of by brakes in machines and automobiles. Similarly, static friction is important in daily life. We are able to walk because of friction. It is impossible for a car to move on a very slippery road. On an ordinary road, the friction between the tires and the road provides the necessary external force to accelerate the car. Figure 5.13. Some ways of reducing friction. A. Ball bearings placed between moving parts of a machine. B. Compressed cushion of air between surfaces in relative motion.